Hi everyone, I am gonna give an example how I developed my Fire Simple Read activity. Basically, I created Spring Boot project. I call it Fire activity. As you can see in the POM file, I added the dependencies for all the Happy Fire dependencies that are needed in this project are going to get downloaded and will allow to run the client directly from Java. So given that this is a Spring Boot project, basically creates like two sources. One is gonna be a source main Java, and the other one is gonna be the test section. I use as reference the text provided by the instructor. Let me show the simple read activity. So to be able to use the client, I use the Fire context. You should be able to, when you generate a simple read, to pass a base URL on the constructor of the class. With that URL, will you define your Fire server. So for the get name by patient ID method, the idea was to trying to obtain the name regardless of his first last name, or so get like a full name. The implemented client executes an action to retrieve a resource, in this case is a patient, with a particular ID that is going to be input as a argument on the method. When that gets executed, it will retrieve the whole patient object back. With the patient object back, we can retrieve the name. The name is gonna be list based. Inside that there's a property that is called name as single string that will return the full name. For getting ID by patient name, basically we took advantage of the client search. This time we're gonna look for a patient, but we are gonna implement kind of a query here where the patient name matches a specific value which is input through as an argument. It's a specific name. So we're gonna be looking for either a fragment of the full name, like a family or a given, and return it in the bundle. Fetch rest of the bundle will allow you to get all the instances of that patient based on the name. By default, the client returns like 10 patients. Fetch rest of the bundle, like I said before, is based on a bundle fetcher class that was provided as the Happy Fire examples. Based on that, I was able to retrieve the rest of the bundle. So after that, we just have to iterate through the bundle entries. So for every entry, we retrieve the patient that is associated to that entry, and with that, we can get the ID of that patient, and we get all the possible options for that ID. Okay, this is the test class. This is based on test cases defined by the instructor. Basically, here we are testing the simple read using the simple read class created. For that, we're going to be using the Happy Fire server. I selected this patient ID, which supposedly when we retrieve the get name by patient ID, based on that ID is going to retrieve John Smith. For that, we have an answer equal that is going to assert that that is true. If we run this test, it's going to contact the server using the client, and as you see, it runs green. So there's a patient named John Smith given this ID. So I created another test case, test get name by patient ID. Same as before, we have the server URL, the Happy Fire server URL. We pass it on the constructor, the simple read class, and this time I'm treating like a new patient. If we have this ID, it should return Federico Capdevila. So it's similar test and just testing a different patient. Now this time we are gonna test the getting the ID by the patient name. If we pass Capdevila, just the last name, can we retrieve the ID? Let's check it out. Yeah, so it worked as well. So you can retrieve based on the ID based on the name and retrieve the name based on the ID from the previous test cases. Now, finally, the last test case is gonna retrieve all the possible options for patients with name Ludwig. If we run this, for this we have a logger, which is going to return the size of the list of patients that are named Ludwig. That's here. So there are 17 patients that are named like that. So these are the possible IDs for all the patients named Ludwig.